wake up to that every morning.
Right. Um.
Thank you for having me
I'll
here.
turn down the volume on it.
On this one, I don't think it's. Oh, my bad. I was trying to
Okay,
turn
so
it up.
yeah, what's up, y'all? Jasmine Gates here. Jasmine A, whatever you know me
Man,
by.
Gates presents.
Gates presents on Instagram.
You know, everybody Instagram is who they are, right? Because it's so real on Instagram. That's what it
Right.
is.
So I'm bringing you another episode of New Black History Makers. This is episode 3, and we are talking about Black men and mental health. I am not alone, as you guys can hear. Corey Nash
Or
is in the
see.
building.
Hey, man, look, Corey Nash, international national Instagram. Today, I'm going by Certified Wise because I'm bringing y'all nothing but real certified wisdom.
Right. So before we get into the show, typically right here there would be advertisement space. So I'm not advertising anything but the advertisement space. So if you have something that you have going on, you can take up this space. Let us know in the chat if you guys can hear us. I see DJ Gamma Rays in the chat, but just let us know. Let me know if you guys can hear
I got an
us.
advertisement for you.
What?
Go listen to Murder at Rap Sessions on any streaming platform,
Right.
Spotify, Apple Music. I prefer Apple Music. I like Apple Music.
Right.
I'm a victim of that. I should be on Tidal, but we on there too. But
On Tidal.
yeah, we got a single called Murder. It's like a South African R&B.
Okay.
Honestly, it's one of those like after hours, early morning, like 1 a.m. You want to play it, set a mood. It's one of those. It's a moody song.
Right. So before we get started, like I said, that would be essentially the advertisement space. So that's one we'll have. There's a few more throughout the show, so you'll hear about
your
them.
ad. So your ad here.
Right. Right. Your ad. Imagine your ad being here. Your business being here. Well, no one said, Gamma, can you hear us? I see that you're in the chat. So can you hear us?
Maybe he's not listening. Maybe he just wants to watch. Make sure we're doing our job so he can listen later.
Oh,
right? Maybe he's
I
in the
guess.
car. I don't know.
I guess.
I think they can hear us though. My mic is muted, but I'm going through this mic.
Yeah, so you're coming through the computer. Okay, so we're just gonna do a check in, basically.
Yeah, you see the sound
yeah, the
waves
things are working. Yeah, yeah. All right, so we on. So yeah, we're gonna do a check in. So Nash, how are you?
I'm amazing. I am fresh from doing mental health. So the thing is, mental health on a Friday is one of the things that I do in Compton at a community clinic. So if you need your mental health check, you can come to De Novo Healthcare on Rosecrans. They take all insurance, I believe, and you can get your mental health check.
Right. So is this just a checkup, or is it something that you can?
I provide full on, mental health services. I was actually celebrating 2 years with a couple of my clients and just reflecting on how far they've come. I work with basically anybody from 12 to about, I think my oldest client is like 80 or something like that. So, I got
80.
Yeah, because I have just various opportunities to provide mental health services. So, one of the contracts that I have is with a senior citizen service. So, it's for people that are either terminally ill, their days are numbered, so to speak, or they're a senior citizen and they're having a hard time adjusting.
Right. That is what's up, though. So, did you answer how you are? You say you're amazing?
Yeah, I'm amazing.
Okay.
Because on Fridays when I do mental health with these specific clients, let's just say that the success rate is a lot higher because they're more functional. Coming into the field of mental health, I chose to follow the advice of a mentor, which they told me, you go in and you do the most hard, disgusting, nastiest, whatever the job is, you go into a company taking the job that no one wants.
Right.
So that the company could respect your work ethic. And I was like, all right, cool. So I went into mental health and I worked with very severely mentally ill, they call them transition age youth. That's 16 to 24.
Okay.
So that population, when they're having their first like mental breakdowns or psychotic breaks, it could be some of the toughest to deal with because they're still in denial. They're burning through resources. Like they may lose like housing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't already have a job, no experience anyway. So, it's tough to work with them and provide service, but their service is out there. I was providing the service. That's how I got my first taste of mental health.
Okay.
And so now I'm able to be in a position where I have my own license. I'm a LCSW, state licensed, and essentially I can run my own private practice. Right.
Is that in the plan or?
So right now, when I'm looking at the structure, because mental health is an industry, right, like any other, but the thing is, it's relatively new. So when you look at how the industry is structured, any independent contractor, you know how it is, you producing garments. It's just a little more difficult to get all the liability insurance to, the upkeep of the actual business is all on you. So it's almost like with any business, you need to come in with money to make money. And so I found out ways to contract with agencies that were basically just managing independent contracted social workers on the 1099.
Okay.
Right. So I'm like, cool, this is a loophole. I found this out. Everything is mobile, especially since COVID. Everything, it's interesting to see how the shift went from some companies offering telehealth services. Because technically, it's like you got to be in the state where you practice, their license, whatever.
Right.
But over the internet, it's like, what state are you in? They don't know where I'm at. They don't have to know where I'm at. What matters is where are you at? Yes, I'm licensed where you at.
Okay.
Yeah. If I'm out of town, I'm practicing out of town. You can't really stop me.
Right. So, and is that something that changed with mental health? I mean, not mental health, with COVID and the pandemic? Okay.
Exactly. That became way more accepted. They almost like promoted.
Okay.
Let's just service these clients.
Right. Okay. So you kind of tapped into like essentially the way that the show is going to work, right, is that we have segments. The first show is, of course, the check-in. Like, I think we should always be asking people, how are they doing, right? And then there's also
how are you doing?
How am I doing? I'm good. Life is doing what life does, but I'm good. I'm glad to be able to be on the platform, to be able to have this show, and then also just to have people that I can call on. I called you yesterday and was like, yo, come on the show. So for you to come on and just be able to share and not just be a random person, like someone that is actually in the field and doing stuff. So yeah, I'm good.
I'm not a life coach.
Right. And it's not certified through the Instagram check marks.
No. That's the thing. I don't even promote what I do on the gram because it's sensitive. It's sensitive. At the end of the day, I don't need people. First off, therapists and all that have a stigma against them like any other profession.
Right.
So I don't need people knowing. That's like telling people you're a cop. I'm not running around promoting, and I know cops and they promote it on their Instagram. Right. But that's because that's who they are. That's what they want to be perceived as. Not me. Yeah. I don't want you to perceive me as nothing other than what you think I am.
Right. So yeah. So that's essentially the check-in. Nash went into a lot more of the other questions that I wanted to ask, but essentially we do the check-in. That's one segment, and then basically like the intro. And the intro is like, who is the new Black history maker that we have in the studio now, and learning more about you. So the questions would stem from like the whole, what, who, where, when, why.
Oh, okay. So I gave y'all kind of some of my.
I didn't ask the questions yet.
No, I'm just saying I don't have to talk about mental health right now, right?
Well, no. That's what it is. Like, what do you do? That's one of the questions. So the questions essentially, what do you do? You already told us that, right? Who do you serve? You told us the transitional youth. Yes. And then there's also a question of like, who are you? Like outside of your
work.
Yeah, like you at your core. I think we don't talk about that enough. We always talk about like the work we do or how we serve others, but we don't always talk about, especially those of us that are in the community. Yeah. So like, who's Nash?
So I have like an understanding of our personal selves, our characters at our core being like builders, healers, or warriors, right? I look at things like from a fundamentalist tribal standpoint, like my savagest mode, what am I? Am I a warrior? Am I out here in the field trying to like kill what I eat?
Right.
Or am I like a builder or healer? And I'm like all of that because I have so many just phases of my life where I had to be certain things to transition to another phase.
Right.
So I'm a builder because I just really want to build culture because that's one thing I recognize that I lack.
Yeah.
And then I'm a healer because of what I do. Like I can't help but support people and want to help people. And I'm glad I can make a profession out of it.
Yeah.
But then as a warrior, you already know, like, it's just some things I'm just not gonna tolerate.
Right.
You feel me? In my spirit, I'm a person that's gonna always just ride with the oppressed.
Right.
So,
no, for sure.
You know, that's who I am. Like, I'm just a warrior that's fighting my fight in a way that I have my weapons to fight. We all are weapons. Right.
No, for sure.
You know, and they've tried to biologically weaponize a lot of things about the human existence. And that's where the mental health things get real complicated, because biologically that's what's happening. We're getting contaminated.
And it's crazy. I wish I could pull that, but I have a picture of me in Kenya. And I was at their national museum, and a lot of the words that you said were on like their wall, and I took a picture in front of it as it was like on a window or whatever. But it's so interesting to hear you say that, because when I saw that, like,
you'll take that picture and put that for this soundbite. There you go.
Right, I can put it on there. Right, that's why Nash is here, because the brains. Right. Shout out to Gamma Ray. He's in the chat. He said the brand is booming. Thank you so much. He said I'm going back to the hood saying Nash is the feds, or Nash the feds. Sure. We are international social engineers. International social engineer.
For sure. And the thing is, I don't even know how I came up with changing the spelling of that, but my boy in Africa was just like, man, Nash, you're so international. You should change your Instagram name. And I did it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Instantly, right then and there. Because Anthony Bourdain is one of my biggest inspirations. You know what I mean? Rest in peace. You know who that is?
The Bourdain sounds familiar.
No Reservations.
Okay.
He's the guy from the show that killed himself.
Right.
And mental health. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We talk about because men's mental health, black men's mental. We here to focus on the niche market of black mental health.
Yeah. No,
but
for sure.
Men's mental health, that's a perfect example. You know what I mean? Of him. And another person I really looked up to that did the same thing was Robin Williams. Like, I was always a big Robin Williams fan. And to know how he was really struggling with his mental health, I'm like, okay, I'm not that crazy. You know, because I grew up really struggling with my mental health. Like, what's crazy is being in the position that I'm in, to have access to the information I have access to without saying too much. I looked up my own name just to see what they were saying. It was crazy. They couldn't even really figure me out. I'm looking at the notes and reviewing shit. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Now I see how guarded I was, because you really can't figure me out.
Yeah. No, that's for real. I mean, I think most people that, and there's not a lot of us that are self-aware, it would be hard, you know, to figure them out, because it's like, well, how do you get up every day, or how do you do this in the midst of turmoil? And it's like, well, you know, we kind of like get our sources from something different, you know? So the next question is when? So when did you realize you wanted to do mental health or even community stuff?
So I ain't gonna lie, King Drew, shout out to King Drew, because that's just the high school that really gave me a lot of these introductions to things. Because I went there wanting to be some type of doctor. I left out of there knowing I was going to be a social worker, simply because my senior year, I was fortunate enough to get a position called college peer counselor.
Okay.
And so what that was basically, I guess you could say, like the top tier of the students, 10%, they have an opportunity to interview to be in this position where you have a period to just assist other students with the college process.
Okay.
Right throughout the year. We in the college office, it's like 4 students at a time per period get this like free period. But it ain't free because you have like students based on last name.
Okay.
So I have like a caseload as a kid.
Right.
It was, and I knew like, oh, this is lit, because I get to, first off, I got to talk to a lot of chicks and get to know, because we had so many girls at the school. So I had the opportunity of just helping a lot of females figure out what they was gonna do post high school.
Okay.
Built a lot of solid friendships.
Okay. That's dope. Gamma Ray said, talk about what you had, or what had you depressed last year. Okay, we'll get into that a little later. And then and hope people don't think about or talk about suffering from success.
How?
Okay, how? Okay,
yeah. You know you get me, ho.
No. But when you're reading it,
Texas,
when you're reading it and you don't know what the rest says, you're gonna read it as it said. But I'm like, okay, now he meant how. But okay, we're gonna get into that. Now the next one is where. So like, describe where you are right now in life. Like, what is this season?
Oh man, this is like abundance. I'm getting everything I deserve. You know what I mean? Because
that's dope.
Everybody want to plant seeds and wait for the fruit to grow and all that, but like, have you ever actually ingested the fruit from your seed? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's a great feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My auntie got orange trees in her backyard, and I didn't seen it where it wasn't no oranges. Seen it when they came through.
Yeah,
I know how good they taste. I know how much she, values those oranges, and me too, because it's like pomelos back there. I didn't even know what a pomelo was until I went back there and got one, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You got this in your backyard. That's fire.
Right. No,
you got
for
like a little orchard going on.
Right.
And every year you have to go through the process of waiting for your turn, your season.
Right.
And it's my season. Like I didn't wait it a long time to afford myself the freedoms that I have, because I always knew like, man, I don't need like a structure to tell me how to do my job.
Right.
But you have to have credentials to get that freedom to do the job the way you want to do it.
Right. No, I completely agree. So the last question, the why. So what is your why? That can be tacked into purpose or whatever. But I think you've tapped on it a little bit. But if you're being asked directly, what would you say?
What if I was to say, right? I don't even know why. Is that acceptable? Maybe, right? But I feel like you got to be somewhat in the ballpark of like your intentions. And honestly, the older I get, the more I realize like the culture needs a facelift. You know what I mean? We better than this. Like I've seen better. I've experienced better.
Yeah.
And we all should want better. So I think for me, it's past the point of, I just want to fulfill these goals, because like that's inevitable. Like I'm not even too goal oriented. My goals are just more so tasks. It's cool. Like I know I'm gonna get that. That's nothing. But the necessity for someone like me to do what I do. I was in Vegas one time and this dude was like, yo, the world needs more of me, but they can't get it because it's only me. He was yelling it out.
Wait, the guy said this?
Bro, this dude was like, you know how you see crazy people on the street? You know what I mean? He looked like he was a drug addict. He had no shirt on. You know what I mean? He was in front of the casino, getting kind of like hesitant to go in the casino. And he's like, man, I'll never forget it, because it was just like so profound. Like, damn, bro, the world does need more of you, but unfortunately it's only you.
And side note,
bad right now.
Weren't you the one that posted the guy that walked up to all them birds?
Yes, in Africa. Yeah. Fire. We need to use that for promotion on this too.
Right. We need to put that in the it was like I kept going back because I missed the part where he walked over. I was like, okay, now you're talking about these birds. I was like, oh no, there's a guy right there. But that like makes me think of that. Like, I think we all have like this like inner power, right? But just because you fell short, or just because you succumbed to something, or you were a victim of something, doesn't mean that you lose it.
No. If anything, any fire that get diminished should be able to get reignited. You know what I mean? Like if we all got a fire in us, you gotta just figure out what lights your fire.
Right. Oh, for sure. Okay, so that was the end of that segment, and then it'll flow a lot more freely once you guys are like aware. I'm just trying to do the explanation of.
Hey, this preseason, I'm just here warming up, because the thing is, like, it's a lot of empty seats around here. I see a lot of microphones,
and I want to have more people on. So this is only episode 3, so we have a lot going on. But at this point, it would be essentially another commercial. So, like I said, if you're listening,
if you got good business, you want to advertise your studio,
if you have some marketing, not even if you have not thought about marketing capital or just marketing,
you can holler at me. I do consultant. Marketing consultant is what I do.
Right.
I will help your brand be better at it being a brand.
And there's the advertisement. So look, if you want your ad here, boom. And then also actually, for those of y'all,
how much
not
is
for
the
sure.
ad space?
So it's $100 a month.
For sure.
Right. So it's $100 a month right now. But yeah, and then also for those of you guys who are listening through the audio, we also are on YouTube. So there's also the opportunity for you to have an image. We have our logo on there for us to throw your logo on there so people can see it. But yeah,
create a little 15-second ad.
Right. And then we could just play it, and then it is what it is. Gamma Ray is lighting up the chat. Shout out to King Drew. I have a thought on the King Drew stuff. Execution season after I read the comments, and then eating fruit from your
yo, you just about to read what this man is saying.
Well, we have to acknowledge the that's what keeps people listening. It's only Gamma Ray, but we have to acknowledge, we have to keep culture.
Look, okay. The thing is, it's good practice. And you know what?
Yeah.
That's part of my mental health, man. I have terrible practice. I'm Allen Iverson with the practice.
Right. Practice. What? I think I am too. But
I think with the practice, but like we got to get past that, bro.
Right. I think I am the same way too, but then basketball, because I hoop, so basketball kind of balanced it for me. But it's like, why do I need to show up?
Let's talk about it.
But why, yeah. So the King Drew thing first. And then also, this is after the commercial, this is the segment where we're basically like, let's talk about it. So what we're talking about today is Black men and mental health. The reason why I wanted to bring up this topic, it started on last Saturday because of Regina King's son, Ian. He committed suicide, and it just made me feel like we should be talking about it all the time, but then also why not talk about it after something like that happened? I also saw something today where the mayor, I should have done I'd not even done more research. I should have put more effort forth in remembering who this man is, but I believe he was a mayor. But he was found dead, and they believe it was they believe he shot himself. So that's another thing. Allegedly, we don't know what that was, but either way, Black men and mental health is still a topic that needs to be talked about. That comment threw me off. King Drew. King Drew is not what it used to be.
You see that?
No, we're
King
not.
Drew fell off low key when I got up out of there. Like when class about 08 left, it was like.
See, I think so too. Because when I was in high school, King Drew wasn't what I knew King Drew to be before I got into high school. And I had a lot of cousins and people that went to my church that went there. And it was like, it saddens me because it was definitely something where you had these middle schoolers who were aspiring to go to this school because they felt like, wow, my future will be enhanced here.
It was like that. We set the precedence, but honestly, back to the culture, right? Mm-hmm. That's the thing. The culture
needs to uplift, like you said,
facelift, because it shifted and it got watered down. It got weaker. Mm-hmm. The culture at King Drew wasn't sustainable. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because it was upheld by certain students and certain students of a certain caliber.
Right.
And then once the caliber of student wasn't there anymore, the culture left. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because I was a person that came back to King Drew every chance I got after graduation, like first semester back from college, I'm there. Mm-hmm. I'm just reinforcing like my presence, culture, and I'm watching it dwindle to the point where when I graduate from college and I'm going to grad school, I'm in San Diego State, I'm still coming back at least once a semester to just walk around campus and say what's up to people.
Yeah.
And I'm watching how, people just didn't dress the part the same way. They didn't socialize the same way.
Yeah.
The campus culture just felt emptier than I remember. And even just the teachers, they just was way more relaxed.
That needs to be a conversation. How King Drew fell off. Like they need to do a movie, not a movie, but like a documentary on it.
And the thing is, it's going to be about the return though, because now what's happening is a lot of alumni are teachers there. You know what I mean? So they there to restore the feeling. And I appreciate what they are attempting to do.
Right.
And, shout out to the alumni coordinator, you know what I mean, who we're going to talk about it because I don't even know if that's still his position, but the alumni could do more to kind of get back. But the thing is, how King Drew fell off is a funny double entendre because a lot of the alumni falling off too.
All right.
So, you know what I mean? Like,
well, we got to get something on.
Look, they hate me. I don't even care. You're going to have some King Drew haters, but it's the truth. Like, it's the home of the fall off because we was known for having some of the badder women, but the fall off.
Not the
crazy.
badder.
Bro, like in high school, they was like, dang, everybody know King Drew got him. But then it was just like, well, look at him post.
Physically, or are we talking about mentally?
No, we're talking about in life, like in general, because your mental is a reflection of your physical. Your physical and your mental go hand in hand.
Okay.
Right. So your mental, okay, now we're talking mental health. So for a Black person, your frame of mind creates your reality. Thoughts become things. We know that. So if you got a poor mental state, then you probably are in a poor existence. And in a poor existence, I just literally mean something that you're not satisfied with.
Well, I feel like there's people that show up looking good, but are internally jacked up. So what are your thoughts on that?
We don't know what they look like when they're not looking good. We don't know how bad they actually look.
Oh, you're saying when they're not did it?
I know that makeup and a nice quality wig will change the game, and it does.
What changes the game for men? A hat?
We don't have. Oh, that's funny.
Not your hat.
No, a hat.
Nash has on a hat for those of y'all that can't see.
I always wear hats because I'm capped. So, at the end of the day, I don't want people to believe me. I'm literally lying with everything I say.
Wait, not really.
No, I'm a fictional character. The thing is,
he's a character for sure.
It's a double entendre. It's a mental warfare game out here where you can't believe anything anymore, right? So if you tell people not to believe something, they probably gonna believe it.
Yeah.
But if you tell people to believe something, they not.
That's
always
true.
Call cap.
That's true.
So I'm telling people I'm lying, so you know that I'm telling the truth.
Well, I feel like, yes. If you tell someone that you're lying, that someone will listen to you. Like, I'm like, well, what is he about to say? That's a lie,
Okay, so what I'm gonna say is that movies like Inception and The Matrix, watch them, study them, understand them. Even a movie like Fight Club, very heavy on the mental health in these films because your mind projects whatever is going on in your subconscious. Right. So if you have a toxic existence where your relationships are continuously beating you down rather than building you up, it's probably a projection on how you feel about yourself because you are what you attract.
Right.
And I hate when people complain about attracting poor partners because it just is a testament to how you either A, don't know how to maintain relationships or build relationships, or B, you just allow any and everybody into your space.
Right. No, that's real. That's very real.
Yeah,
so let's get into some of these questions as far as like mental health and Black men. Yeah. You said, why'd you say
Nah, because the thing is, I'm gonna have to play both sides. Because at the end of the day, some stuff is no excuse for. Right? Like you gotta put the work in.
As far as you're saying some things that Black men are doing, there's no excuse for.
Depression and anxiety. If those are the crutches, right? At some point.
Are they crutches if Black men are not identifying as having that? Or is it just something that's in the subconscious?
By now, I think we know that it exists.
I don't think there's a lot of Black men. Now, I won't say, maybe there's more.
That's what I'm saying. It's growing.
Well, I'll say that we'll admit that they are. Maybe, and that's why one of the questions about, we can just jump into that.
Let's do it.
Black men, where do Black men feel safe?
With women. That's why they surround themselves with women. Like, this the thing. We tell the truth to certain women. I was
expecting a different answer.
I'm just saying. That's why I'm going to have to play both sides because how many men run to women for safety in
That's
general?
A mic cover. We're going to pick
it on. Oh, okay, like cool.
Okay, so.
But no, how many dudes run to
their ex? I'm glad that you just understood what to do with it.
Run to their ex, though. Like, men run to their ex like no other. I hear about it from other men. I hear about it from the women. You know what I mean? The girlfriends
that men run back to their ex.
Yeah.
So
or to their mama.
Okay, so I laughed because you said woman, and I'm like, okay, but then woman doesn't necessarily have to be a partner or someone that you dealt with. Okay.
No, it can literally just be somebody that is not going to judge you. Chances are it's your mom, right? Or grandma. So that'd be the first, when you hurt, that'd be the first reaction to me. Okay, now if we want to have other side of the coin discussion, I don't even think they feel safe with other men. I think they feel safest alone. For me, I felt safest alone because I know I can trust myself.
Well, you said felt. So what is it now?
With women? Oh. No, I just recently reconnected with my mom. And I recognized how much of a void that was.
And then what was the reconnection, or what was the disconnection, if you don't mind?
Just her lifestyle choices and space in between her being available, not having a phone. Like,
well, how long was the disconnect, I should say?
That's the thing. My mom has been in and out of my life since I was like 5 years old. So you could say the first gap, now that we really talking mental health, is 5 to 13, then 13 to like 16, 17.
Okay.
Quick in and out at 17. Then another like probably resurgence at like 25, and then another bounce out. And then 29-ish, and then absent from 29, and I'm 33. So about 4 years, last 4 years, I haven't really seen her. And the thing is, post 25, after I got over the trauma and like forgave her and like understood, did all the healing and the work that I had to do. It by about 25, when I'm ready to rebuild, nowhere to be found. Came back around at 29, and it was like, I don't really like the shape that you in, so I'm gonna do my whole social worky. I'm gonna support you as a professional first to get you the help you need, and then once you get some help and get situated, then we can worry about what I need from you. But right now, I know you're not in a position to give me anything. So let's get you right. Got her right. She got ghost. Then she popped up stable, and that was the thing. I was thankful that she was not too far out the way for me to see her, but I had no idea where she was at. And now that I know where she's at and she's a little stable, I can be there to be more supportive and like, we planning things. At the end of the day, my mom is from Arkansas, so we planning on getting her back home to her family. She don't have family out here like that. No sisters, brothers, cousins, none of that. None of my family live on the West Coast for real. Like even my dad, his family, they don't live out here. They live in Florida, and they just moved. He just moved. I mean, back to Florida to be with them. So that that's what you do as an old person. Like you kind of
go back to where home is.
Yeah, like you want to get back to your roots and just have some peace.
Oh, that's real. So you scoot off a little bit so you're in the shot. Yeah. There you go. So with that being a thing, or with that being something that's like on you, I know you talked about getting her the help, but then what did you do to kind of like deal with that? I mean, what would you say your feelings are towards that?
I went and did what any, I guess, advocate of mental health would do, which is get my mental health.
At what stage though?
I was like 21. Prior to even wanting to connect, I knew I had to process and deal with my feelings. So, boom, I was already just neglected, right? So when you look at neglect, the way it shows up with just certain anxieties, restlessness, just needing validation, needing to just feel connected, just whether that's hoarding things, like it was the whole gamut. I had it, you know what I mean? As far as just like all of the symptoms and the signs of a person that is anxiety ridden or stressed out and neglected, so because I was conditioned to be neglected, I often neglected what I needed for my condition. Right.
And do you feel like there's something that a lot of Black men kind of experience, that whole like neglect? Because I know one of the questions was like, we're familiar with the terms depression and anxiety, but neglect, where does that stem? Like where would you put that in a category? Is that like separation anxiety?
It shows up differently because the thing is, you could be connected in the same household and still get neglected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's more of like a depression with symptoms of anxiety, right? So you're gonna be sad and feel isolated and disconnected and maybe emotionally rejected. But then most importantly, you're not gonna know how to regulate none of that. So that's where the anxiety gets formed.
Right. So then what put you in a mental space at 21? Shout out to Gamma. He said he got the flight for when y'all ready to send mom's home.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, shout out to
Gamma. Really looking out.
For sure.
Put me in a space at 21 was just I recognized how important relationships were because I was in Atlanta living off relationships. You feel me?
And what does that mean?
It was just currency for me. I was getting access to places. Like the girls I was dating would like have places for me to sleep. Like I wouldn't have to like pay to rent no hotel when we go out of town places because I would just already know people, things like that. So my relationships were good. And I was living off them because of how my network was. I was meeting so many people just being in Atlanta. And
he went to Morehouse. He's a Morehouse man.
Yeah, I'm a Morehouse man. And so that just paved the way for me to just learn how to talk to people, deal with people from different regions of the country. And so my mental health
of the world,
right? Facts. We had international students. Facts. Because I'm trying to say everything in a timely fashion. I feel like I'm talking fast, but I'm not.
You don't talk fast.
Yeah, I'm not. But I'm saying a lot. But just seeing how things wouldn't translate, and it will be because of the way I perceived them. Right. So I'm gonna give you a prime example.
Okay.
I'm assuming that this man over here is being aggressive because of the tone of his voice. not knowing that that's just how people from the South talk. And it's because, you know, everything is a hoe or a bitch. And he's not necessarily calling me that, but that's just part of the language that we're using while we're playing basketball, because I could take it personal and be offended because I ain't really a hoe. And we're, you know, being 21 back and forth from Compton to Atlanta, and, you know, just knowing how the culture is out here, people don't really trash talk, so to speak, like that. That's just not our culture. Unless you're really friends. But like, you don't just do that with like random people. No, not at the park. That's how fights get started and shit like that. And so I had to really, you know, check my temperament in these situations, because why would I overreact to someone just being themselves and take offense to it when the things don't apply? So I had to really just look at it like, oh, if I'm from Texas, this is just what it is. And putting my own ego to the side and my own bias and, you know, just the things that come with like growing up in Compton, and, you know, every hat don't mean this and that. And, you know, the nigga got a New York hat on because he really from New York. Right. You know what I mean? Like seeing that and not having my own biases get me into trouble, so to speak.
So is that also something that you feel like exists when trauma is the root of where someone is responding from?
Definitely, 100%, because I feel like wherever the trauma occurs, that's kind of where your growth and development gets stunted. So if something happened to you was 15, chances are where you were at in your state of mind at 15 is probably stuck there because it didn't get past whatever happened.
Right. So I want to talk about, we kind of talked about like the whole confiding, or where do black men feel safe, but like black men confiding in other black men, what is that relationship? What are the boundaries there? Is it something that y'all feel safe doing? Is it something that y'all do actively? Like, what's that kind of experience?
So for one, I think it starts with black men learning to spend more time together so that they can find pockets and ways for this shit to come out casually.
Right.
Because I think that's how we operate best, is when we act like things aren't a big deal. You know, if we can be nonchalant about, oh man, I got this girl pregnant, bro, I think I might. Like that's how a lot of men have brought up conversations to me, not necessarily saying like, bro, I'm worried, but I can tell you worried. You know what I mean? They never are confirming it, but through the conversation, you can see like, oh, this ain't something that you like proud of or like happy about. So, you know, I think it just starts with putting ourselves in positions to really have opportunities to connect. Other than that, it is a challenge. I ain't gonna lie, because I don't really myself, I don't trust enough black men to even handle what I got going on to bring them. As a man, I'm just kind of trying to handle it on my own.
And where does that stem from? The lack of trust for
not having no men modeling man relationships around me. All the man relationships I saw were like, oh, them niggas gangbang together. You know what I mean? Like, and that was just shiesty because niggas is turning on their own homies. Like, wow, I'm cool on that. Or damn, they let that nigga get killed. Like, what? Yeah, y'all not the niggas I'm about to be sitting here talking about how hard it is for me to get this homework done with. Like, I'm good.
Right.
And so, you know, it just was the only option I had for real, because it wasn't no men. You know, like at the end of the day, the men we know, like they absent now. You know?
Yeah.
They at work or in jail or traveling, doing some, we don't know.
Right. He said we don't know.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Niggas really be living like some crazy ass lives. Like, I don't know, man. Niggas is really, and they living good, but everything is so like, you know, on the hush.
Well, living good in terms of like what we can see on the outside, but not internally.
What's being promoted.
Right.
You know, like niggas look like they having things, but I've learned that having things don't really equate to living good, because for one, shit be fake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Shit is not what it looked like. It be other people's, it be borrowed, whatever the case may be. But like
the Bow Wow challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, that ain't even my benchmark on success no more. My benchmark on success is just like, you know, are you free? Are you comfortable?
Free in what?
For me, are you free with your time? Are you free with your thinking? Right? I could just tell right off top by how you present yourself if you are a free thinker or not. It ain't that many of them. So when you see them, They stand out to me because of my mental health lens. Like, that's the thing. Because I've been able to deal with so many people with mental health issues over the years. I've been doing this for 7 years in this capacity. I see it a mile away. Like, I can see a person that has personality issues. I can see a person with identity issues. I can see the depressed, the anxious a mile away.
So as far as like where you are, right? And I'm sure there's a clear separation, like you were saying, from the people that you maybe grew up around and where you are now. What is your feeling towards them? Like, is it like there's a responsibility for you to show them the right way, or is it kind of just like, oh, y'all got to get it on your own?
You know what's crazy is certain niggas keep up with me and we keep up with each other. We communicate. It's so interesting with a DM or a repost how much that communicates, right? For a nigga to hit you with the 100 to some shit you said and you didn't think nobody was watching, but the nigga that you know from back in the day was watching.
Yeah.
Fuck with that. You know what I mean? I respect that because it just lets me know like I'm validated. And as a black, like, we need that. We need to be seen, heard, all that. And
seen by other black men.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, now that's the beauty of the internet. It's safer and easier to do that without getting the weirdness or the awkwardness, the anxiety that comes. It is anxiety provoking to want to reach out to another nigga. Right. But if you just hitting them with an emoji to let them know you fuck with what they saying or what they doing, that says volumes on. That's where we at as connecting as men, because we wasn't doing that ever.
Right.
Like in real life, like in real time, for a nigga to pat you on the back, that was some gay shit. Like, what, nigga? What you mean? I'm just doing me. Get off me. Like, why you even watching me? Like, you know, all that. I had that as a person growing up. Like, why are you even trying to copy me or be like me or pay that much attention to me? But now, you know, we realize like we need that. I was like part of our socializing as teenagers growing up. And we need it as men. We need to socialize more to learn different ways of doing man shit. I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean to cuss, but as a man, like, there are certain things that men have to do. Like, you cannot.
Like what though?
I'm telling you an example. You cannot allow your woman to like carry the majority of the luggage when you're traveling.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Like, she shouldn't be really even helping you lift no luggage nowhere into the car. She should be just in the car. Right? But I see all that shit all the time where like, I hate when I see men in the passenger seat of the woman's car or the man driving what is obviously the woman's car.
What if he has a car?
Then why are you not driving it? Don't be driving her car. That's what I'm saying.
Well, what if I'm in the passenger seat
of your own car? That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's bad.
It just don't look good to me.
Oh,
especially because the girl don't be looking happy to be there. That's what I'm saying.
I'm happy in anybody. Well, not anybody's passenger seat.
Exactly. Don't say that.
Well, I'm saying like I don't just hop in everybody's car, but I'm saying like, you know, we can take my car, but
I'm just saying, driving. Man, shit. I just think that men have a car, right? Cool. Drive your car if it's yours. I let my girl drive her car because the thing is, she likes to drive her car. I don't mind being in the passenger seat of her car.
Okay, so that's what I was trying to understand.
Like, I don't understand that. Like, there's no issue with that because I have a car. Like, not saying that the man don't, but you could just tell when the seat is all custom to him. Like, I don't get in the car and rearrange my girl car. You feel me? Like, I'm just in it to roll with her. I'm not extra comfortable in her car because hers.
He's sitting up straight like this.
I'm not.
Okay, so go ahead.
Let's see.
And are you giving another example?
Yeah, I'm just thinking of things like, I think anything pertaining to home improvement, if y'all not doing it together, you should at least be taking the lead. Like, if you need her assistance.
Okay, not like interior design.
Yeah, no. Okay. I'm just strictly, okay, for example, the other day, I was changing the shower head. I got us a new shower head. I had trouble putting it on after I took it off, and I wanted to ask her for some help so bad. She came in, kind of checked it out, and I was like, you know what? Go on a run with the dog. I'm gonna handle it. When she came back, it was handled. Right. But I had to figure it out.
I feel like that's a whole different conversation because you have a lot of like this like women's march movement and the feminine movement or whatever, feminist movement where gender roles is like a thing. So that's something else we gotta tap into. No, I love gender roles too, but there's a lot of people who would push back on it.
My thing is, you don't have to, just like anything, you don't obey the law all the time, right? There are always going to be times where you jaywalk. Right. So the gender role can be bent. However, there should be a clear distinguishment between a man getting up to go check on what that noise was. You know what I mean? At 2 a.m. when you're like, did somebody knock on my door?
Right.
A man should be going to do that without a doubt or without a question. I don't care if we have guns and you can go grab it. I'm still gonna go.
Right. No, for sure.
That's all I'm saying. It's man stuff. Like, you know, I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to be misogynistic and come off like, you know.
No, I don't think it's misogynistic. But I think if you're listening to what he's saying, it doesn't come off as misogynistic. But
yeah, I want men to get back to asserting themselves. That's it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm all with it. So as far as like the isolation, so that was another question. I think most women that have been with Black men know that there comes a certain time where the man might be going through something or whatever. And it's like, well, why don't you talk to me? Why don't you do this? And it's not even that. Maybe some women do nag, of course, but it's just a thing of like, okay, we want to know what you're going through. But I know a lot of men isolate in that space and when they're in an unsure space or when there are things going on. So what's kind of like the logic behind that?
Ask me that one more time.
The logic behind Black men wanting to be in isolation?
Oh, you know, honestly, the fallback thing is just like, I think it's back to the trust. It's like an embarrassment. Like if I fail, if I fall, I know I trust it. It's my fault. You know, I don't have nobody to blame.
Right.
A responsibility thing. I think at our core, most men just want to be responsible. And I think when all those fails, you know, you just got to be responsible for you. Like if I'm gonna be a bum, at least ain't nobody a bum with me. I took myself down. You know what I mean? That's just kind of how I think as a man. It's just like for me, and all I can do is just speak on me. I'm not like every man, but I think I'm pretty common. I don't think I'm exceptional. I think that when I fall and I feel like a bum, I want to be by myself because I don't want nobody to get the energy. I don't want nobody to start losing because I'm losing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the times it just be conversations that we're not having, like as men and women, we're not necessarily having healthy conversations outside of the relationships, like the romantic relationships that we're in.
You know what else is hard though? It's hard when you're actively in a fight to be like, man, I'm getting my ass whooped right now.
So you're speaking as a Black man in life?
In life, when you're fighting with life, because life is a fight for us. Like that's the thing. I'm just gonna keep it real. Like every day is pressure to show up and have to perform some way, some regard. Even if you are just a dude that's out here like, I just want to meet some new chicks. I just want to hang out with girls, right? There's pressure there because you have to still make a good impression. And even if you get to the point of having intimate relationship with her, you still have to actually compete with other men and feel like, you know, I'm good enough for her to come back.
Right.
I don't care how confident you think you are. You still have to like consider all of those things if that's what you out here doing, because that just comes with securing the bag, so to speak, right? So even if you're just trying to get a new job, you want to make sure it pay more than the last job. As a man, like we're not really trying to take no steps backwards. Anything, you know how they say anything less than would be uncivilized.
Right. So, okay. So at what stage do you feel like you weren't fighting as much, or just has it been you've been fighting your whole life?
Yo, I think now I'm changing the fight. I'm playing way more offense. So, because the thing is, when you're playing defense, you take a lot of damage. And I think as a Black man, we're too defensive when it comes to dealing with women, right? Dealing with our superiors at work. Everything is so personal when a lot of times it's just like, I've learned everybody else is just going through something too. So like the way they treating you and the way they reacting to how you're showing up has more to do with them and their problems than you and your presence.
But so how does that work when you feel like you're always the person? Because that to me is like grace, right? Whether you want to look at it in the literal form or like the churchy form, or the biblical sense, I should say. Well, how does that work when you feel like you're always being the bigger person or you're always showing grace? Doesn't that still weigh on you?
Yes. And that's why you have to, you know, balance that out with sometimes actually not caring and actually expressing your angst.
So in what areas could that healthily be practiced where you're not caring?
Okay, so for me, my healthy outlet is I mask things with humor, but sometimes when I'm being rude, I really be meaning the shit. So
wait, hold on. You say you mask it with humor, but sometimes when you're mean, you really be meaning it.
I'm rude to people sometimes. I'll talk shit.
But you'll like laugh
but
about
it's
it?
like a snarky way that I get it off because sometimes I just need to express my disgust with just people. And so you was just a stray, like stray victim.
Okay.
And the thing is, I use things like verbally because I feel like the verbal expression of things, when you talk it out or verbally express yourself, that's the quickest way to relieve whatever stress you feel. And that's why people like yell out in pain if something hurt. Right. You cry, drop them tears if it hurt that bad physically. So, you could cry out and yell out some Tourette's type weird shit. If stress get too bad, you just want to scream. But in a biblical sense, in church, what they yell, hallelujah, right? Highest praise. They just yell at shit for no reason all over the place, right? Because it feel good, don't it?
Yeah.
Right? You scream and shout. So for me, I've learned to channel that into people that know me know. Like, I call it the backhanded compliment. You know what I mean? Because I could talk shit, but compliment you, and you'll be confused about it all the same. But to me, I get my rocks off that way. I laugh to myself. It's hilarious because people don't know, is he being mean or is he just being funny? And for me, we don't know.
Right. So, okay, when you said that men will, or that's piece about not caring, right? I feel like that can show up in relationships with women, like more in the romantic sense, where where you have these just a lot of relationships with men, and you're being sexual with not men, women, and you're being sexual with a lot of women, and that's where you're choosing to not care.
Or the woman that you're with, you just don't care how you talk to her. You don't care how you treat her, right? I've seen that too many times, heard about it, and it's just kind of like, damn, the girl don't care either because that's why she there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So who's really at fault? You know what I mean? Is it the man who isn't caring or the woman who doesn't care?
Wait, so you're saying the woman doesn't care about how she's being treated because she's still there?
Exactly.
Well, I think now I'm not going to put myself in this category, but I think there are a lot of women who essentially see some kind of good in a man, right? And even if he is being abusive emotionally, physically, or in whatever way, and they just are like, well, he has to get hard, or where he does this for me, and on the outside looking in, we're like, but you look like a fool.
Yeah, but to her it could be worth it because of how foolish she's looked before that. Because if she's tolerating that still could be a step up from where she was at.
That's true. And it's interesting. So not necessarily off topic, but just having an open conversation. I was talking to somebody.
I can speak from the man perspective on that as well, right? Because some girls you have treated really bad before, but then the girl that allows you to treat her a little bad, that's a step up. And niggas is thinking that you harsh to her, but like you have no idea how I used to treat women. So like maybe if I talk to her this way, you're offended by it, but clearly she's not. I'm not. And this is just where we're at in our journey and our growth, because maybe that's just a standard that we uphold for ourselves. And that's back to what I'm saying as far as like the culture needing a facelift, because that looked different for a lot of people. When you look at like Hustle and Flow, Terrence Howard, that whole relationship and the way his women reacted to him and the way he treated them, his mental health, was the only thing that was really driving that whole situation, is how he felt. He was driven. He was obsessive, right? He made it. But in the meantime, he didn't care about being polite. That wasn't like a priority.
Right. No, yeah. So, I guess so it brings me back to that video. I don't know. I forgot who it was in the video, but the woman, it was older. It probably has to be like in the 70s or the 80s or something. And the woman, it was a black woman, black man. I should know their names because they're prominent people, but I just can't remember. I'm not seeing the video, but I remember the content. So she was saying basically like, you lie to your boss, or you give your boss so much like joy, and you act like you're happy to see them, and then when you come home to me, you just lay all of your burdens essentially down, and you don't give me the same joy or whatever. And she was like, no, lie to me like you lied to them. And that's kind of like, I don't necessarily want that, but I understand it. Where I've seen men that I've dated or men that are friends where they're able to give when they're out in the world, and then when they come and sit with us and they're able to be their, normal selves or whatever, if they're not giving, or they're not as kind, or they're not as like considerate,
because they don't have that energy left. It's draining. at the end of the day, like we all are vehicles and we require energy. That's
So
what we
what
have
do
for
black
us.
men need to do to make sure that they're in healthy spaces and that their energy that they're putting in is not drained?
Well, one, people are vampires. So it's kind of hard not to get your energy drained. I think what we could do as men is one, recognize what fuels us, right? Like what foods do you prefer? Right? What spaces do you enjoy? Are you an outdoor person? You're an indoor person?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do you need to go bowling for real? Or do you need to go shoot pool? Or do you need to go to the gym? Or do you need to go join like a little flag football league? Or, like it's something that you have to do to get moving to make you feel like the man that you think that you are or that you should be. And once you're the man that you should be, I think everything around you will kind of reflect that because you'll have the relationships that you want, right? Because you'll garner the like you'll nourish those and build those because of how you handle things with a certain level of care.
Right.
That's where it starts with the opposite of like I don't care. So my thing is with the mental health, we need to always go against our first mind because our first mind is the mind that we're using, which is damaged. So it's like if you keep telling yourself, yeah, I'm telling you, if you keep telling yourself, like, man, you don't need that shit today. Chances are you need that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, try it, even if you think you don't need it,
right?
Whatever it is, or if you know, like, man, you should not anything that you tell yourself you shouldn't do because you shouldn't go to the gym. You shouldn't call that person. You shouldn't apologize. No. Any of that reinforcement is why you are jacked up in the first place.
No, that's real.
Yeah, you gotta like play these mind games with yourself and recognize because we all should talk to ourselves. That's why I like Insecure in the way Issa Rae displayed that because that was so we ain't seen that.
Right.
Like who's done that?
Right.
Nobody.
And even how I was telling you about like if you guys know me or knew or follow me on Instagram. So I'm back at the Good News and I was here in 2007 through 2019. And even then, what are we in 2022? So that was 3 to 5 years ago. So even then at whatever age I was, that young age, I was still coming on here and saying like, no, you have to talk to yourself. Like you have to communicate with yourself. And it's like if you are trying to get to know anybody else, anyone else that you're trying to talk to or get to know, you talk to them, you have communications and conversations with them. So it's the same thing for yourself. And I think a lot of times we push that away as like, oh no, well, it's a crazy thing to do that, but it's like, well, how do you even know who you are if you're not able to converse with yourself in certain aspects?
So look, I'm going to try to like cap the conversation with this because I always like to leave my sessions with something to learn from or something for you to homework, right?
Right.
And so for those that don't have those conversations with themselves, I challenge you, and this is like, because I also work with kids too. So I tell them like, you have to develop that inner voice so that you can have a conversation with yourself. The key is not to talk back because that makes you crazy, right? But to develop the voice,
right.
And you develop it. Well, how do I find that voice? How do you develop the voice? You take your 5 favorite people and you create a person out of those 5 people. That's the funnest thing ever to figure out, well, who do I like the most that I wouldn't mind telling me what to do?
Right.
Who you want to tell you what to do? Because 5 of those people combined into one person to create like this spirit being. That's why I looked at Jiminy Cricket. I was like, dang, Pinocchio had like a little cricket because he probably was just hanging with crickets as a wood piece. Like crickets is in the attic or whatever he at. Right. So I'm like, oh dang, that's what he personified as his voice. We all have a Jiminy Cricket. It looked like something. And in the Matrix, it was the Oracle. In Power Rangers, it was like Zordon. Like it's so many different examples of this that I've seen where like even the Ninja Turtles had Master Splinter, you know what I mean, to kind of tell them what to do.
Yeah.
So you need something inside that you can develop by using like your 5 favorite influences to get you from A to B and to keep you going and to like help you develop yourself. That's all this is about. Like this whole existence is about developing ourselves. And as Black men, we're gonna continue this conversation because what type of self do we want to develop? I'm personally bothered by how many Black men just are consumers. Like we just consume everything. Like we're spending money with consumer
Consumers
relationships.
compared to what would be your desired placement for?
Man, growers, like multipliers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Distributors. Like it's so many different alternatives to a consumer. Because to me, consumerism is what white men do. They conquer, they pillage, they consume, they, destroy. And I think that
sound like you're describing the devil.
Man, I'm just saying, like, just in European nature, when I've seen just history and the way they develop their civilizations and burn them out, that's what it just tells me. And the way that, we rely on our women, it's just you have to have the masculine to agree with the feminine to some degree so that something could be born.
Right.
And I think that women are fundamentally all about sustainability, right? That's why they're the vessels that give us the life because they're re-sustaining the life, like sustainability. They're respawning. They're literally like a video game. They were like, without them, you cannot respawn. And no matter how much of a man you are, you just don't have that ability. Like women could carry, like we could take all the sperm from men right now, kill them off, and still have life.
No, that's real.
You could just take some sperm from them, even when they dead. You can still try to go in there and get it, I guess. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, the fact that the matter is, like, women are pretty much essential. Like, they're really, really, really important. But like the men have to get back to, like, not being consumers, because if we consume the women and dispose of the women the way that we have been, then there won't be any left.
Right. And on that topic too, I know that we often talk about like what Black men do to Black women or how Black men could be better, but how in like just a practical way could Black women kind of show up more for Black men or provide space?
Yeah, and I think that's also a huge discussion that needs to happen. Is like, you got to go both ways, because I even in my relationship, I catch my girl when I'm like telling her like, you ain't do this. She's like, well, but you didn't. And I'm like, we're not talking about me right now. At least talk about you first, and then we can talk about me. Now that I know you want to talk about me, but the accountability piece, like Black women could show up for Black men by taking some accountability and stop blaming us for like things that aren't our fault. Even if it's, we can help it, it doesn't mean it's our fault. That's like where y'all have it confused, is because yes, we can solve a problem. That doesn't mean we created the problem. So don't like bring us your problems with the sense of urgency as if we're responsible.
Right.
We're a resource and we're here to, help you as best as we can. But like your frustrations, figure out your way to deal with that, because yeah, we know life is hard. You're getting beat down too.
Right.
But we're not like pincushions.
Right.
At the end of the day, we have to just really man up, and women have to just be accountable. That's it.
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap the conversation. But thank you for coming on.
Nah, for sure. I feel like I said, this was just a preview on what I can bring as a rotating co-host.
Right. Yeah. So he's definitely a therapist, and you're just gonna start seeing. I mean,
I'll
like
be back.
before, there was just people coming on and us getting a lot of different perspectives. Like Nash said, there's a lot of seats here, so we want to fill them. I think that's the best way for new Black history makers. Why not do it in the form of community rather than it just being, a one-off situation? So I'm going to go back to the comments. DJ Gamoray, our lone listener, at least on the chat, in the app. Also, if you are listening by any other means, go ahead and download the app. The Good News Nation, or network, I should say, is owned by a Black man, Keith Good News. So y'all know, if you know me, that I love him dearly.
That's crazy. Yeah, I know him from back in the day because I was working with like the Movement radio show, and like I heard about the Good News like back then.
So crazy. He's been there. Now there's 3 studios, so it's been dope to be a part of it, for me to have been a part of it. When this studio, literally, I was here the first weekend that this studio opened. I did my show live. So from then till now, 3 studios later, the team is all they're all on their way, if they're not there yet, to Houston to kind of expand and meet with some people out there. So
Houston
it's
is
cool.
Where it's at. We just went to Houston last year a couple times. Shout out to Tony Frio.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Look, Houston is big love in Houston. So I applaud I applaud it. I'm supportive. We're gonna see how this goes, because like I said, I just appreciate the energy here. I appreciate even just the color scheme of the atmosphere. Everything is a vibe at the Good News.
Right. He said it's very Black in here. I didn't realize that, but it is.
So if y'all want to come through, just hit up Jasmine Gates. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll hit up new Black History Makers.
Black History Makers because Gates presents.
We'll hit up new Black that we want to funnel more interaction through that page. But
new Black History Makers,
right?
Check in with the page. Follow YouTube. That's where it's at. YouTube Live. This video.
Are you signing off the show?
Nah. I'm just saying, like I'm practicing because at the end of the day, I don't know. I'm not here. This is my first time here. Right. I don't know what other questions we can address, but I do. I always have like more things to discuss on the mental health side.
Well, no, we're about to wrap this. I was gonna ask a last question, but I don't know what to ask you. Like, so
come on, let's ask something culture related.
Well, something that's quick, like something that we can just end on. So, like a one word question, or like a this or that.
Yeah, man. Like
I don't know.
Favorite dinner or something. I don't know. Oh, okay.
Favorite dinner
or
favorite country that you visited.
That's easy. Come on, man. Look, I'm a big advocate for South Africa. Y'all go down there, lose your minds in Joburg. Call me when you come back.
Yeah. Well, and then that's quick. That's it. That's the show. We'll be back next Friday. I don't know the topic, but I'll have some guests in here for sure. Look, we're gonna get terrible, y'all. As the first official co-host of this new season, we're gonna get Nash on to come on some other ones, but we want to continue to push this notion and this not even wave, but mental health. So tap in, follow him. Where can they follow you guys? Follow you.
Look, International Nash.
National spelled NASH. Yeah, man. So yeah.
You can search Certified Wise. That'll come up.
All right.
Whatever, man. Look, don't find me. Don't follow me. That's it.
So that they can actually follow you.
You feel me? Look, right. It's gonna work, man. Watch.
All right. So we are signing off. It was amazing talking to you guys. We'll catch
that was a great show.
Next time.
Great show.
I really am completely inadequate.
Our cousin, I'm helping the culture. I'm pushing the culture forward in another way.